I love people who go into, building something new without ego. What I love and what I've strived for personally, and I'm getting better at it, is not being so caught up on having to have the answers. In fact, what I'm trying to get better at is having the questions. And so, I learned this over the past 10 years or so, where I used to go into things being like, I have to have exactly the right product idea. I have to have exactly the right strategy, et cetera. And now I realize you can't, right? So part of that's been doing this for 30 years across 9 companies. I just can't do that. So the second part of it for me is like, okay, why don't I open up with this? Just take this off the table. There's no possible way I could know the answers, right? I don't have a crystal ball, but I'm pretty good at asking the questions, right? So Ed, you and I invent something new today. I don't say, hey, let's come up with the perfect marketing strategy. I say, let's try 4 things and see what works, right? That's asking the questions. And by the way, I have a few ideas what'll work, but let me already tell you, here's what I always say. Whenever it's in a group situation and everyone's like beating up the what if, my answer is always this. Why don't we all first agree that none of us actually knows, right? Take the certainty off the table. We can all argue the what ifs, but the truth is none of us actually knows. So let's not talk about our what ifs as if it's fact.
I get it. A lot of founders come to us and they've already built something. So they've got skin in the game.
Yep.
There's insecurity there. Their ego is right there, vulnerable. Yep. And so they want to protect it. But there's something about the founders, no matter what stage they are, I can tell by the questions they ask. Just totally says what you're talking about in terms of no ego. When they're asking the right questions and different questions, nuanced questions that they've developed after they tried to answer the last question. That just inspires me to be here at Startups.com, do what I do every single day, that much more.
Yeah, me too. And part of what I try to do is arm founders with more questions, right? Founders will come to me and they'll say, hey, I'm working on an MVP, like we're talking about, and I'm thinking about building this feature or that feature, right? And I was like, listen, thinking of what the features are, that is not actually the question you should be asking. What are people, your customers, actually trying to get done? How are they doing it elsewhere? Where does it work? Why doesn't it work? Like, those are the things we should be unpacking. You should have at any given time a list of 50 questions that you're trying to answer. And your job, our job as founders, is to stack rank those questions to say, which one do I answer next? At Startups.com, Ed, when we're leading this company, there are a million questions that we have about our founders who are essentially our customers, so to speak, right? And we're going to answer them one at a time. Right now, we're trying to figure out, how to get them funded more efficiently. So there's a million questions within that. How are they reaching out now? What kind of responses do they get? Why do they reach out to those people? What the hell did they say in that email? All of those things. And we stack rank all of those and we pick them off strategically one by one. It's all about the questions.
And don't be afraid of what you think are dumb questions from your perspective, or questions that seem like I'm asking as an elementary school child in a science class. Don't be afraid of those. Well, I know I probably asked you a ton of dumb questions where you're like, are you sure? the guy with the experience, but you've never held it against me. And we continue to build a relationship because I think that's what the fun is.
Yeah. Listen, man, my concern is when people stop asking those questions. Again, and you're familiar with this one where someone asks a question where everyone just assumes that's default knowledge. And you say something where you're like, is it still true? Right? Yes, that was the answer for how we did things. I'll give you an example. Recently, we were auditing a lot of our marketing processes, right? And we were like, yeah, we have these marketing emails go out and they convert at this rate, and that's how things are done. And I'm like, when's the last time somebody questioned that? When's the last time somebody wrote something new? It turns out it was like 5 years, right? So you're saying in 5 years, no one's had an important question since then? We've learned nothing? There's nothing we could have updated in 5 years? And when you put it like that, people are like, yeah, maybe that isn't the default answer, right? Maybe that isn't such a bad question. The other thing is, a lot of times when a team has what they believe is the final answer, it was because there was no one else in the room that questioned it, right? And so it gets grandfathered in. You have a lame answer, a lame product feature, et cetera, because the right person didn't just come in and say, well, that doesn't make any sense. They just let it ride. I think this idea that we came to a conclusion, so it must be the same conclusion, is terrible. It's dangerous.
Right on. Kudos to all you founders out there who asking us questions. Blast away. Just want to encourage you.